Good morning,
Hello.
Michael.
How are we?
Doing well, doing well. How are you?
Doing good. Ready for the weekend as always.
I love your new tagline there, Michael. The brains of Mofi.
Well, I realized everybody else had a tagline today, and I needed one. And I'm neither a CEO
And
or a founder.
it's pretty well the truth. So
I
that's
say it's not a lie.
so I will just say yes. That's absolutely the truth. So how you doing, man?
Doing good. Doing good. It's a little bit rainy in Louisville, but the weather's been good all week, and that's something to say for it. And
Yes.
getting ready for the holiday week next week for at least those in the United States.
Yes. Well, awesome.
We get to go to Texas, so not going to
Awesome.
complain.
There you go. And how your Louisville Cardinals doing?
Oh well, which ones? The football team.
Yeah,
It's
well,
been
we
a
won't talk about basketball
fantastic
right now. We'll
season.
talk about football.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna hold out hope for the basketball team and support them, of course. But
Yes.
it is a redeeming year for football fans of the Cards who are looking forward to some good endings for this year.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Awesome. Well, just a couple reminders to everyone. We just wrapped up and we're talking with the founder of Podify today, but we did just wrap up season 9 of our podcast, Combustion Chronicles. We had 10 amazing episodes with women in leadership, the healthcare edition. So please make sure go out and listen to those if you haven't listened to those.
Ooh, yeah, it's a great season, and I'm not just saying that. Like being able to do the work on it, it is a lot of good guests say a lot of good things. It is worth a listen if you've not listened to anything else we've done.
Absolutely, absolutely. And 2 weeks from today, with his new book, Pete Schramm's going to be here. His book releases next week called Pathfinders about career pathing. So, really excited about that. But super, super excited today to be speaking with a very dear friend of ours, Billy Samoa Saleebey. He's got a really long name. But in 2019, Billy left Tesla, which we're going to talk about some today, as the head of global sales and product training and went all in on podcasting. He left his career and he found his calling. He spent a decade making movies. His feature film Rolling won awards, went to festivals all over the world, and got picked up for distribution in 2009 as well. In 2010, he decided to make a pivot. He got recruited by SolarCity. When Tesla acquired SolarCity, he got the opportunity to create the onboarding program for Tesla. Every new hire who starts at Tesla goes through this program. He became the global head of sales and product training, one level removed from Elon. Then he got the call. Elon didn't want a global head of sales training. He could have stayed in corporate, but it was time to do his own thing. He started his podcast, Inside Out, which is the top 1% in the world. Quickly realized how much work it is, so built a team. It became clear that others could also use help, and he started Podify. Today, he helps over 40 plus podcasters, as I said, including us, to produce, promote, and monetize their shows. So let's welcome to the stage with us, Michael, Billy. Hey, Billy.
What is up, gentlemen? Thanks for having me.
Not much. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. This is exciting. Love speaking with you two guys, and feel like we're going to have a fun conversation.
Oh, we're going to have a great conversation today. So, Billy, what a bio, first off, and all the great stuff you've done. And we're going to dig into that today. And we were just talking before the show came on. Michael and I were just thanking you and your amazing team that got us through season 9 this year. And looking forward to season 10 kicking off in late January as well. And you guys will be helping us with that. So thank you again for all the work that you do to help all of us out there. So in the land of podcasting.
Of course.
So Billy, we start every episode off the very same way. And it's this question: why do you do what you do? Or why do you do what you do? And what keeps you motivated as you do it?
Great way to start. I think the word that comes to the word that comes to mind is impact. I think we have I know we only have so much time. Like that's the reality of life. We only have so much time. And so what's the mark that we individually want to leave while we're here? And to me, there's so many great ways for us to leave our mark in the age that we live in that it would almost be crazy to not do something that's going to impact other people. It doesn't mean you need to be, podcast. It doesn't mean you need to be famous, but it does mean that you could impact the lives of other people, whether that be as a leader or as it be somebody that creates content or somebody that is a great parent to their kids. How do you make an impact on others? And so the path that I've chose is I help thought leaders build their platform through podcasts, through YouTube, through making sure that they're doing everything they can to leverage the power of social media, because I feel like there is so much opportunity for our message to be heard and for us to influence and impact the people around us. And I think it's a great opportunity.
I love it. And we've talked a lot. Michael and I have this discussion a lot around the power of social media. And Michael, as Michael will say, I lean into it a little bit more than he does. But yeah, I mean, we've seen such interesting connections come even in our life as we've done the Combustion Chronicles. So again, thank you for doing what you do. And we also ask our guests always to give us like a stoke or a quote. And I love this one. And I know Michael's going to have lots of thoughts around this one as well. And it's pretty simple. Whatever anybody says or does, assume positive intent. Why did you start us with that one?
It was the most impactful quote I remember from my time at Tesla, and I heard it from the person who I reported to, a guy named Ben Putterman. And I think he got it from the person he reported to when he was at Oracle, because I think we go through life making up stories in our head about why people around us are out to get us. And in a lot of cases, maybe even most cases, it's wrong. We were talking before the show, in the absence of communication, people hallucinate, which is why I believe in relentless communication. And one of the things you guys said that we do well is communicate at Podify. Response time matters. Being communicative and being able to share ideas quickly matters. And so for me, when somebody's having a bad day or when somebody's maybe not as nice to us as we think they should be, it probably isn't us. It very likely is them. We don't know what happened to them that day. We don't know what's going through their mind. And so the path that makes it so much better for you as the human being, but also for those around you, is just to, by default, assume everyone around you has positive intentions. If you do that by default, you're not going to hold resentment. You're not going to wonder what the motives are or why they're acting a certain way. Now, are you going to be wrong some of the time? Yes, you will be. Sometimes people have bad intentions, but that doesn't detract from the concept still holding true that if you set yourself up to not feel that way, you're going to be much better off in the long term in most cases.
All right, Michael, I see your wheels already turning.
So yeah. So I mean, if this were to go on the list of no-brainers, right? Why do we even need to be talking about this, right? So, but the fact, it's like when they put the instructions on the back of the poison, do not put in your eyeball, right? Like, there should be some obvious things out here, right? So obviously this is not obvious to the people, right? So it's not just a quote, but it's an important quote. What are those barriers, right? What are those barriers that prevent people from being able to get to that positive intent? Why is it as humans we lead with negatives so often?
Yeah, I think there's a few reasons. I think one is insecurity. We often have an layer of insecurity for a variety of reasons. Could be our upbringing, could be a protection mechanism. We're super nuanced beings. I mean, the way in which we've been, man, we've been over, depending on what your beliefs are, like how we've evolved, like we definitely have so many emotional layers to us that what we're effectively doing is protecting ourselves and putting ourselves in a position to not be harmed. And in doing so, I think we kind of hold on to this old reptilian brain, right? And like, instead of accepting the fact that, most people are in their own little world, they're not thinking about you in the way that you're thinking about you. It's like we're so resistant and so hesitant to do the things that we want to do or feel called to do, because in our mind, we're thinking what other people will think. The reality is most people aren't thinking about us. They're thinking about them. And so I think the sooner we get out of our own head about what other people are thinking about us or why people are acting a way towards us or playing the victim mentality game, the better, because then we're not playing defense, we're playing offense, and in a way that is a positive offense and not a negative offense.
Right. Well, and it really just hits the nail on the head for diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? Of speaking of trauma from people who are raised in places that are not just for them, that's a whole nother layer, right? I know we have a lot of DEI folks who follow us and come to the show, so I want to make sure we didn't gloss over any of that. But I think you're exactly right. If you come from a place where you have not seen opportunity, whatever it is, including DEI, you're exactly right. You tell these messages of these people are not here to help me. And so getting us to that point where we're able to assume that positive intent, so important.
And it's not going to be easy. Critical. And it's such a great point, Michael. I mean, we can't know what it feels like to sit in somebody else's shoes. No one can. I mean, you can't. It's you can sympathize, empathize. You could try to feel, but you're never ever going to know exactly what it feels like to sit in somebody else's shoes. And so that being said, the best advice I could give is it's a journey. It's not, you don't necessarily flip a light switch and make this happen. To your point, like, yeah, it's easy to read the instructions, do this. It's a whole nother thing to make sure that you're doing this. and so I would say it's a journey, and check in with yourself. A lot of this comes down to self-observation and taking moments. So I have a great friend, Jay Abbasi. He's very big into self-observation and self-awareness and mindfulness. When we take a beat in between our action and the things that happen to us and how we react, the outcome's generally better. And going back, I mean, this plays out very, very well in an interview setting as much as it does in a setting where you're feeling like somebody's out to get you. If your natural default, we all have biases. We all do. It's just the reality, right? And this sometimes they're deep-rooted subconscious biases. But if we are able to kind of hit the pause button every now and then, we can help to regulate those biases and also help them not show up in a negative or harmful way to others. And I think that's a really important reminder.
Yeah. In the Mopi world, one of our mindsets that we live with, which is the absolute most painful for me most of the time, is start with yes. There's another one that's also pretty painful, but we say start with yes. And do that self-awareness, right? The more we're aware of our own challenges and harnessing good mindsets and utilizing them, the better off to back to your point, the bigger impact we can make on the world, right? And so to be able to say start with yes, when you start paying attention to it, there is so much no out there. There's so much we can't, we shouldn't, we haven't done it that way. so often, if you're a person whose job is to protect the business, you've got to start with no, right? And that can be poisonous to a culture, to experiences, to humans, right? So yeah, we start with yes is so important. So go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, no, because I think this leads into what you were just I think you may have been going there, Michael and Billy. You know, we titled this Podcasting and Leadership, and I had lots of people go podcasting leadership, and then that L&D space, right? And and that mindset. So here we are, start with positive intent. The mindset of start with yes. You worked in L&D. Michael and I both have worked in that space for a lot of years. And as we know, a lot of times in that space, it's lead with no. We can't do that. We can't, this. But I have to ask this question. I think you're going to get into some of what we've been talking about. But what was it like to work for Elon Musk and Tesla?
Well, it's interesting that with the tee up there, because you don't ever start with no with Elon. It's I mean, I'll tell you a story. So I was fortunate enough. I mean, I did not have like a one-on-one with Elon. It wasn't like, giving him chest bumps in the hallway. I mean, the guy had security detail like no other. I mean, he would have, when we do delivery, which is when we give cars at the end of the month to all of the future owners, it's all hands on deck. It's everybody. And I had an executive level role. I was, big team and all of that. No, you're there in the delivery hub giving cars to new owners. And in LA, it was pretty cool because all of a sudden you have Seal showing up and Jason Bateman and all these celebs coming in, getting their Teslas. And so that was cool. But you get to see firsthand, because it's very important to Elon, how he interacts and how he does business. And when I say how he does business, what I really mean is how he leads. And it's not perfect, but there's definitely some big takeaways. First, on the security detail, when he goes somewhere, there's basically bodyguards that go to 2 locations. The reason why is he's not going to both. He's going to one of the 2, but they don't want to televise where he's going next. Super interesting. Hopefully I didn't out him too much, but
well, we've been around a family like that too.
Okay.
Billy, that owns like this really big company retail thing, and they kind of do the same thing as well.
Yeah. I feel you, man. I feel you. Well, so he doesn't accept no, especially to things that should be obvious. Here's a case in point. One of his greatest skills is asking questions and asking the right questions. When we're doing delivery, what do we need for the vehicles? We need spaces to keep them. And so in a conventional mindset, we would say we need parking lots. That's where we keep cars, right? So the objection that he was given for why we didn't have the correct number of cars in this local region here in Los Angeles was, we ran out of parking lots. To Elon, this was limited mindset, limited thinking, and frankly, and actually happened, grounds for firing. So in his mind, you could do that anywhere. It could be a park. You could park a vehicle anywhere. You just got to be creative. I mean, here's a guy who could figure out how to land a rocket back on the ground. And so surely you could figure out where to put some extra vehicles. And that was just a small example of how you show up in the world of Elon, in the world of Tesla, is you have a can-do attitude no matter what, because limitations are just they're in your own mind. They're what you've set as a limiting factor. And I think probably the greatest gift I was given from Tesla, in addition to assume positive intent, and frankly, is as amazing as that is, this philosophy and mindset is perhaps the most important, which is first principles thinking. And what Elon and others who've coined that phrase means by that is don't reason by analogy. Don't think, okay, this is the way cars have been for the last 150 years. Let's make them a little bit better than that. Instead, The way Elon thinks, and the reason the Tesla is such an amazing vehicle, I don't care which one you get in, is they're built from the ground up. They're reimagined, as an Imagineer. And so, you reimagine what it could be. Don't let what is dictate what you can do. The only thing you have to think about maybe is law of physics, something like that. Like there's immutable laws of nature that exist, and knowing those, that's important. Aside from that, it's unlimited. I mean, you could think maybe we don't even need wheels. Of course, they ended up figuring out they did, but just have that kind of mindset with whatever it is you're building. If you're a business owner, don't just try to make the products and services that you offer just a little bit better than what your competitor offers. How do you change the game, change the landscape, disrupt, and innovate in a way that will completely revolutionize the experience?
Well, you're on mute, Michael. He had noise outside of his house. Why he's coming?
I did. I live on a busy street.
I will say this. This is you actually said something to me that I know had to get Michael's brain thinking. You said to us here is Elon knew how to ask the right questions. So Michael, go I know your brain.
Yeah, that's it. It's asking the right questions to get to the right place, and then to layer on that, to not put those barriers up, right? And one of the things I had to learn in all of this is you can ask the right questions, but if those questions lead you to fear or to no, or more reasons why you can't do it, then you haven't really completed the assignment. And the other thing I had to learn for those of you who are in my archetype out there is that for me, I thought I was shooting for this. And people like Elon, I'm assuming, are folks that shoot for much higher, way off the screen. And they don't get all of that, but where they land is here, which is still above what I was shooting for. Right. And so they're from me, it's like, well, let's be realistic. We can get to here. And they're saying, no, dream way up there. I'm like, well, that's impossible. It's a waste of time. And an innovator would say, no, yeah, we're not going to get there. We know that, we don't care, but we know we're going to get higher than you. Right. And so working through that has been a big thing for me. Not that this is about me today.
I love this comment. It makes me realize how many limits we put on our thinking about possibilities, solutions, and our futures. And so, yeah, right. And this has been something. What Michael was talking about is I probably drove him crazy. Well, I still drive him crazy. But when we first started working together, I just wouldn't take no. I mean, you see right behind me, I wrote a book called The Power of Yes. Right. And Michael's like, well, you can't always say yes. And I don't always say yes. Michael will tell you that. But what I can say is lead with yes. And lead. And Michael is the one in our leadership styles. He's the one that focuses, because I'll tell you, I don't always ask the right question. He's the one that asks the right question. He'll dig in. But that's really hard for teams. And I'm sure that was hard for you, Billy, as you were in leadership. I don't think it's always been grounds for firing for me. So maybe right. But I think that was a great lesson for you to learn, being around Elon and being around what that culture is, how we do limit that. You also, then we talked about experience. This is Experience Friday Live. What makes a world-class experience then?
Oh man, now you're speaking my love language, brother. I know it's yours. I know it's yours too. Well, first of all, just tapping into the piece about yes, I would say just think about improv. Yes, and it doesn't always, as you said, it doesn't always end up being a yes, but yes, and then figure out what should be the next part of that journey. Okay, so to your question on experience, to me, there's basically three things you need to do to have a world-class experience. The first thing is understanding the rule in psychology known as the peak end rule. And the peak end rule says that you need to have something in the experience that's a highlight, that is so, either surprising or exciting or mind-boggling or something that really resets a neural pathway in a positive way, because we ignore the same, right? If something's the same, you could drive from point A to point B every day. Excuse me, every day. And you could ask the person at the end of the drive, like, do you remember the drive? They don't, because they do it every day. Now, ask that same person to remember a drive where there was an accident, where they changed course, where something eventful happened. They will remember that for the same reason you remember the vacations you go on a lot better than your day-to-day routine. It's new. And this is your mind. Your mind ignores the same. It's and the only reason it's alerted when things are new is to protect you. Back to the idea of our brain and evolving over time. And so when we think about this, I believe experiences really tie closely into our ability to take people out of the norm. And so surprising, emotional, something like that in the middle of the experience. And in the end, people are going to walk away with what happened at the very end. You can have a lot of great things in it, but if the end falls flat, that's the last thing they're going to remember. And so that's one part of it. Now, I will add to that you cannot ignore the start either. So you start strong, end strong, and you have those moments. For me, like going back to like my time at Tesla, I was asked and responsible for the transition of SolarCity to Tesla for the entire sales organization. So I had to put on an event, a Tesla level event for thousands of people. It was televised nationally. It was a big deal. So like, how am I going to create a new and an experience that will be representative of the Tesla brand and do it in a way that everybody remember? I said, okay, what would Elon do? And I said, okay, I'm going to blast some AC/DC, and I'm going to this is shot at a warehouse, and I'm going to make the warehouse door roll up slowly. And behind the door is a Model S that drives up to stage. And I'm in the Model S, and I'm the MC, the presenter. I could have walked up, right? I could have just stood there and said, hey, welcome. Da-da-da-da. No, like, how do you turn on its head what people think is going to happen? So for the same reason that when I do role playing and training, it's American Idol style, right? Like, that's going to give people a totally different view of what a role play is. Or at the end of the training, instead of giving people a test, let's divide up the group and do Family Feud. So these types of things that allow you to create an experience that people are not expecting, I think that's what makes a world-class experience.
Yes. Michael and I are both like, yes, that's exactly, not much to add to it, and I,
Not at all.
right? Like, and I tell people, I mean, what you were just talking about, you think about, you got to work for Tesla, I got to work for Disney, the beginning of the ride and the end of the ride. Typically, people don't remember much in the middle of the ride, but those two spots are what people remember, right? And so, love it. And
I think my only add, which I know this is in your brain, is if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh, but that's just not me, I'm not that person. Okay, it's not about you, right? It's about you and your team. So surround yourself with people that think differently, that can do that stuff, and you may be surprised who around you has skills that can help you get where you need to go, right? Yes. They'll tap into your superpowers, you tap into theirs, and you'll get somewhere. I get so tired of I'm not a creative person. I don't care.
Just be a self-aware person. If you're self-aware, you're going to know what your strengths are. You're going to know where your areas of opportunity, and bring people in to round out your skill set. So for me, I'm a detail guy. I didn't need another detail person, but if I wasn't, I would need to get a detail person, because the detail, going back to the world-class experience, it's like, you mentioned Disney. This made me think of this. I interviewed somebody that worked closely with Michael Eisner, and Michael Eisner said, what we do is like a pointillist painting. Every little speck is a new detail. When you look at each individual speck, it's just a speck. When you zoom out, it's a beautiful piece of art. And so when you're creating any kind of world-class experience, if you're not thinking about every unique detail, I mean, we would spend, and this, my friend, my old colleagues, the people on my team would laugh. We would spend hours figuring out what's the snacks. I literally got the nickname Snacks because I was like, okay, we should have these snacks, and here's why. You know, you don't want people to lose steam. And like those little minute details, a lot of people aren't thinking about. But when you have a world-class experience, you do think about it.
Yeah. I love Michael doing snacks.
Ask me about the poop waffle maker I bought.
Yeah, we're not going in the poop waffle maker today, Michael.
Huge hit. Got the morning off to a perfect start.
Started the day off great.
That's amazing. I love it.
The whole story was about stool samples. You can't pass up these opportunities.
You can't. So, all right. Well, we're coming to the close of this episode, and I don't want to leave out because you do create. And I love being able to say this. You create an amazing experience for people in podcasting. You know, Michael, we used a couple producers previously, and then when we came into knowing each other, Billy, we've moved over to you, and I've had others who want to take us, and I'm like, no, because it's an experience, and it's one that's so amazing. Give us a 30-second elevator pitch about Podify, how people can find it, and what you guys really bring that's a differentiator, I think, to the rest of the other producers out there.
Yeah, thanks, man. Listen, I am so grateful for our partnership. That's really the way we treat every person and every host and company we work with. We treat them as partners. And in life, partnerships matter. There's got to be trust. There's got to be communication. There's got to be understanding what good looks like. And so for us, our primary goal and the way we operate is to do the things that you don't want to do and do them in the way you want to do them and beyond. And so we buy hosts and brands back their time so they don't have to spend the time doing all the nuts and bolts of building their platform through podcasts, through YouTube, through social media. Our primary audience is people who have ideas to share, thought leaders. So speakers, authors, founders, people who either have an existing platform or want to build a platform and don't know how or don't have the time to do it. And so we have a video production team, audio production team, social media team, copy team, design team, all dedicated to doing different parts of the puzzle. And as you guys know, one of the areas that we really, really strive is to make sure that the sort of the spoke in the wheel, we have account managers, partner success managers who work closely with all of our partner clients to make sure that we're always over delivering, always communicating as swiftly as possible so that we're in lockstep throughout the process. And again, doing the things that you don't want to do at the level or beyond the level of the way you want them.
Well, Michael and I both say thank you. And you have done that. And if you're a podcaster, you're out there listening, please go to Podify. Consider using Billy and team because they are the best.
It's worth every cent.
Every cent.
I appreciate it, guys.
And find Billy. He's very active on LinkedIn, so make sure to find him out there and connect with him as well. Billy, if you'll hang out for just a little bit, we're going to close up the show, and then we'll come say bye to you.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. It's been fun.
Awesome. All right. When do you leave for Texas? Tomorrow. Well, enjoy the nice warm weather as it's, I think I saw here in Cincinnati, the high on Thanksgiving is supposed to be 31.
As it should be. It's Thanksgiving.
It is Thanksgiving, but you'll be in 80-degree weather. So
I will be.
Have a great weekend, my friend.
Yep.
And to everyone out there listening or who listens to this afterwards, have a great Thanksgiving. It's an honor to have you guys here with Michael and I, and we will see you all real soon.
Yep.